Welcome to the Hayley Eich podcast. In today's episode, I speak to Dalton. He is an all-in Tesla investor. In this conversation, we speak about exactly what it is that he sees in Tesla, his plans moving forward, his experience with owning a Tesla vehicle compared to an ICE vehicle, and also how he's actually managed to grow an account over on X. I really hope you guys enjoy. Hello, welcome Dalton. Thank you for joining me. I originally came across you on X. You're becoming quite the ex-Tesla guy now, and we'll speak about that later, I'm sure. You're really doing wonders for the community and really growing your account at quite a significant rate. So congratulations on that. But firstly, welcome and thank you for joining me. And I notice, like I just said before we hit record, you are kitted out in some Tesla merch.
Oh yeah, I got the Tesla hat. My buddy actually got me the Cybertruck t-shirt. It was like he found it off some website, and I was like, dude, that was the perfect gift.
That one's not available on the Tesla.
This is not
Oh,
on the Tesla
okay.
website. I don't know where he got this, but I do have a few other, like I have Occupy Mars from SpaceX. I do have a few other Tesla items, but yeah, it is what I like to wear. I like the black tones. I like the grays, the neutrals. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I need to get myself some Tesla merch. I have a Palantir jumper, but it's not the right, not the right weather for that right now. But I need to order myself some stuff, to be honest, merch myself out a little bit. Anyway, let's start with the obvious place, which is your portfolio. Now, the people listening or the people watching that are watching you and seeing you in a Tesla hat can probably already guess at least one position in your portfolio. But let's just start with what's in it. Now, as far as I understand, right now, as it stands, you are 100% all in on Tesla. Is that correct?
Yes. So I have my regular taxable brokerage, which is what I mean a while. So I decided to go. Well, I guess we can start with when I started investing. So yes, I'm all in Tesla. So I actually haven't been investing like that long. I mean, it's been 4 years. So I started roughly 4 years ago in 2020.
A good place to start. A good time to start there. Well done.
Kind of an interesting time so I mean, we had COVID. And I remember I was thinking about this last night as I was kind of like preparing some notes here. I was like, I remember hearing about the COVID, well, the initial crash, which was what I believe in like February and March of 2020. And then we had that surge. It started, I mean, the whole market started surging shortly after, it's kind of the opposite of what everyone thought would happen. And then obviously the Fed cut the rates and things just kept going up. And then it's like, I think it was probably exactly 4 years ago, maybe like in August, where I was like, I think that's when I opened up a Robinhood account and I was like, I think I need to start investing. I mean, because it's like everyone was talking about it. And it's like, it was one of those things where, I mean, I thought about it before, but I didn't really know I mean, I knew the basics of investing, but I didn't know like what to buy, how to buy it, and like all these things. So then I opened up the Robinhood. I started learning about Tesla. There was I don't know if he still makes YouTube videos. I haven't even looked at his stuff, but there were a few different channels I came across as far as Tesla content. This one guy had a Tesla cat. I think he named his cat like Tesla Cat, and he talked about Tesla.
Oh yes, he's on X as well, I think.
Is he on X? Yeah,
if it's the right guy that I'm thinking of.
But he was talking about NIO a lot too, the Chinese EV maker, and and he was talking about them, and I just remember I'm like, okay, Tesla. So that's when I started learning about Tesla. I mean, I knew about the company a little bit, like I saw their cars. I saw their cars in real life, but I didn't really know much. So I was like, okay, I started buying. I remember at one point I probably had like 50 or 60 stocks in my Robinhood account. And keep in mind, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just buying. I'm listening to people and I'm buying stuff, and I'm like, so I started. I started essentially. I lost a decent amount of money before I
Mhm.
realized, okay, I can't evaluate all these companies. I don't know what I'm doing. So I started trimming my positions after, because I believe there was some sort of correction. When was this? Was it the beginning of 2021 or 2022? I mean, there's multiple
Yeah.
corrections, but
A bit
there
of a
was some
messy
bad
time.
ones. There was definitely some bad ones, especially with Tesla. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to trim the ones where I've lost a good chunk of
Mhm.
money. And you know, this during this whole time, I'm essentially researching and learning what companies I want to you know, invest in and hold. And it's like, so I mean, the main one that always kind of stood out to me was Tesla. So I've had like we can I guess get into Palantir a little bit too. I had a little bit of Palantir
Mhm.
just because I like Alex Karp and I like what
Okay.
he's doing
Yeah.
with the company.
Mhm.
Um, and keep in mind, I haven't really studied the company closely for a while because I've just been Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. But
Yeah.
I know what he's about and I know the basics of Palantir, and I'm glad the company is doing really well now. I think it's going to be a great company going down the road, and it's if I like picturing the top CEOs in my
Yeah.
mind, I would put like for sure Elon, Alex Karp up there, and then Jensen. I mean, those
Yeah.
are the big three, especially with
Mhm.
the AI and tech space, in my opinion. So it's like a few years ago I just didn't really know what I was doing. So it's like because I think that I believe the stock crashed really. What's the lowest Palantir got to? Um,
Mm.
I know it got pretty
Like
low.
6.
So
Depends
yeah,
when you're looking.
that
Yeah, like
sounds yeah,
6-ish.
that sounds about right. I can't remember when I sold it exactly, but I mean, I'm just trying to give you and the viewers an idea of
Mhm.
like I had all these companies. I as an investor for 4 years now. Um, you know, I've learned quite a bit. Eventually, so I decided to go all in on Tesla. I believe it was about 2 years ago now.
Okay.
It
So
was
quite a
probably
while really that you've been all in on.
yeah, about 2 years. So I mean, I don't, I can't remember if there's a specific uh, thing that made me go all in. I think it was at one point. It was because I've listened to probably all the earnings calls for the
Mhm.
past 3.5, 4 years, as you know, um, and I think the main thing I would say that made me go all in was just probably Elon's his tone and like the way Tesla's shifting from an EV company to like
Yeah.
more of a real world AI company with and then energy. I mean, we can get into energy later too, but there's just so much that they're doing. It's multiple business segments, and it's exciting, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, interesting on the timeline that you started investing, kind of similar to me. I started a little bit before you, but not that much before. But that was, I think that was the time, if I remember correctly, where there was stocks like Zoom and Peloton that were just going absolutely crazy, and people were making a lot of money, but then they were coming crashing down. It was a bit, probably a very confusing time for an investor to get started. So, I mean, pat on our backs for sticking at it, even if you're
yeah.
in that being our initial awakening to investing. Um, you mentioned there as well Palantir and Tesla, Nvidia. Those companies and those CEOs to me have a lot of similarities. And the more that I'm investing and the longer that time goes on, I'm really seeing that that's the type of leader that makes me believe in a company so much. Like those leaders that are unapologetically driven by the mission, those leaders that, you know, they want to do the unthinkable. What everyone else is saying is impossible. And it's interesting to hear that you know, you did have Palantir. I mean, maybe you will again in the future. Who knows? We can talk about that.
Hmm.
We can talk about that later on. But
Yeah, just touching on real sorry, just
no, go
like
ahead.
that's really important to me is like what you just mentioned with
Mhm.
those CEOs is mission oriented.
Yeah.
And that's like those guys. I mean, I haven't studied Jensen or Alex nearly as much as I know Elon, but I do know a little bit about them, and I do know like having like I mean they get, especially Elon, they get a lot of hate,
Yes.
but it's like their companies are literally changing the world. Especially like with Tesla. I mean, it's disrupting multiple industries. You have obviously the automotive, shifting everything to electric EVs, and then you have just the energy business, which just really started
Taking
to
off.
take off this
Hmm.
this past quarter. Um, it's been going on in the background. It's like, I mean, if you can go even probably late last year, I was just saying I've said like energy's like it's a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
People are sleeping on energy. It's coming. It's like the one of the biggest things. Sorry, I'm kind of going off on a mini tangent
No,
here,
no,
but
no,
like
it's good. Go for it.
one of the biggest things like with Tesla is what some people don't understand is you have to look at the future and where things are
Mhm.
going. I mean, that's just generally with investing. And I get so many people that like, I mean, I don't get that many haters, but I get a lot of, I mean, with how passionate I am with Elon and Tesla, it's just like people are like, oh, it's just a car. If you look at their revenue,
Mhm.
it's a car company. I mean, to some extent,
Well, yeah, up
to
until
some
the
extent
recent
that's
quarter, it's
yeah,
shifting, isn't
especially
it?
with the recent
Mhm.
quarter. But to some extent, that's true. But we're
Yeah.
forward looking here. You have to look at what's happening behind the scenes and what they're actually working on. It's going to take quarters and time for the numbers to show
Absolutely.
in the quarterly reports. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, especially with FSD,
Mhm.
which I'm sure we'll get into later too. But like FSD is, it's mind blowing. It's something you really have to try
Mhm.
to understand. I mean, the videos you can watch videos, which is great, especially 12.5. I personally don't have 12.5 yet. I'm still on 12.3.6, which is what most people that have FSD are still
Mhm.
on. Hopefully this is the week that we finally most of us get
Yeah.
12.5. But no, it's something. It's like it's crazy. Like if you were to think 15, 20 years ago, if you were to tell somebody like, hey, my car can pretty much drive
Yeah,
itself,
it would be unthinkable.
yeah, you wouldn't even like the person would think you're crazy, or
Yeah.
like the Jetsons type of thing or something, but like, yeah, it's there's so much going on with the company, and it's you can't just look at the car part of the
Mhm.
business. um and I did actually watch, I think it was one of your last podcasts. I was doing a little just digging on. I
Well,
didn't
thank you
really
for
realize
watching.
your YouTube was so big. Your YouTube's growing. So
Oh,
congrats on
thank
that.
you.
You're at like
It's still small. It's
22,000
still
subs.
yeah, just crossed 20,000, which is a
Well,
milestone I
congrats. That's
never thought thank you, I never thought I would get to. It's a bit mind-blowing, to be honest, but hey ho, I'm enjoying it, and, speaking to people like yourself is one of my favorite parts of it, for
that's
sure.
awesome. When did you start your YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I can't remember the exact it's like let me
Has
see
it
when
been
my
a few
oldest
years?
yeah, probably a couple of years. I get asked this question a lot. You'd think I'd know
Okay.
off the top of my head. The oldest video is around 2.5, 3 years ago. So yeah, call it just over 2 years that I started, you know, being a bit more consistent, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely pretty good. And I saw, because I mean, I remember, I don't know, I can't remember if I followed you first on X or you followed me.
Oh,
Not that
no
it
idea.
matters, but I remember us both being around the same amount of followers. I think we were both in the 1000s. I mean, so
Okay, that's
a while
cool.
ago. It was at some point last year,
Hmm.
and I remember you were just talking about, because I remember seeing Hayley, and I was like, oh, she likes Tesla, she likes Palantir.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm gonna like her, So like, I try to follow people with like-minded,
Yeah.
um, and like just investing in general, because it's like I mean, and I love Tesla obviously, but I just believe investing is something
Hmm.
that's important that everyone. I mean, that's a whole different. I mean, I guess it kind of coincides with what we're saying, but like investing is so important. It's most people. I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but I feel like there's probably half of adults don't invest.
I reckon it's even less, depending on where you are in the world, of course.
Yeah, I
But I
guess it
think,
depends
yeah.
on where you are, but it's like, to me, it's. I mean, that's one of the main reasons like going back, with what we were
Hmm.
saying earlier. 4 years ago, I started investing, and that's one of the main reasons. Is like this can actually, I want to. I don't like using the word retire, but like, I can kind of live my life on my
Yeah.
terms earlier,
Financial
like
freedom.
financial freedom. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I started looking into like the FIRE movement, which
Yes, that's how
is
I started. That's
really
exactly the
okay.
same story. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started like looking into that and things like that. So it's like it's been a quite the journey. And I mean, I'm 31. I'm still oops, my buddy's calling me. I thought I had that sign. Sorry.
No problem.
I started, I was yeah, I'm 31 years old, so it's like
Mhm.
I'm still pretty young. But it's like, you know, especially with investing, the earlier you start, the better, right? So it's like
Compounding. Yeah.
time is your friend, compounding interest. So I mean, yeah, especially with Tesla, it's like because what I initially started investing too is I started looking into like dividend stocks actually.
Yeah.
I was a little bit of I was trying to like I got kind of hooked on like, oh, the dividends, you can earn this passive money
Uh-huh.
and that's going to be great, and then I'm just going to stack up all these dividends. And but then I realized like, okay, well, I kind of found Tesla at that point, and
Mhm.
then I sold. I mean, obviously I sold everything else, but I sold all my dividend stocks, and I realized like, yeah, I want to go with the amount of time that I have. I want to go
Yeah.
with growth, and instead of more passive. So I kind of found that out.
Mhm.
um, it's just been, yeah, I mean, I'm still beginning at my journey. And I just want to reiterate, I mean, I am by no means an expert, obviously, the not financial advice, yada
No,
yada.
nothing is on here.
But yeah, I mean, people, I know a fair amount about Tesla, and I'm more of like the fundamentals. I like to look
Mhm.
um at like what the actual operations of what the
Yeah.
company's doing. um and that's what I'm doing on X. I'm posting news. I mean, I'm very much an optimistic person.
Yeah.
I positivity, I mean, that just goes for life.
We
It's
need
not
more of
just
that. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, exactly. And it's not just about, oh, Elon and Tesla, they're building a great future. It's more
Mhm.
just about, optimism of being a kind person,
Yeah.
treating people right. And like, it all kind of goes together, and it's just like just being, finding happiness. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, but I believe that's it. I believe it's important to look at where, be excited about the future,
Yeah.
and just
Where they're
be
going. Mhm.
where things are going. So it all kind of wraps together. But yeah, I mean, Tesla was, I feel like it's just exciting. It just kind of hits the
It's
nail on
such an
the head for me.
exciting
So
company. Yeah, there's
mhm.
no boring day when you're a Tesla investor. It's really interesting how you were speaking about the way that you moved through your journey in terms of like how you started, then dividends and Tesla. It's very, very similar to me. And I've actually heard a similar thing from a lot of people. So there must be something there that I
Oh,
don't know what
really?
it is.
Okay.
Like, why is everyone sort of following the same journey that ultimately leads to a growth stock in particular? Tesla, I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm
yeah.
seeing it a lot. I don't know why that is. But so what when you started investing, you did that because what you were hearing on the media that it would help you get to financial freedom, or was it someone in your life that said something to you or
I honestly, it was probably a few. I mean, because I listen to a lot of YouTube. I
Mhm.
listen to podcasts, and I watch. There's a few like Tesla channels that I'll listen to. I like Stephen Mark Ryan,
Mhm.
Solving the Money Problem. Herbert's great,
Yeah.
like with Cyber Bowls. And
Mhm.
like, I don't consume, I mean, it depends on the week, but I don't consume as much content as I used to.
Mhm.
Mainly because it's like I'm trying to produce a lot of content myself, and I think
Yeah, it's hard to do both.
eventually I do want to get into. I'll probably start doing more video.
Mhm.
Whether I post, I used to do a little YouTube. I mean, my channel, I think I had like 1,200 subscribers, like nothing big, but I haven't posted on YouTube in years. But I mean, so I'm either gonna probably start posting again on YouTube, or just post on like
Mhm.
videos on X. Um, and then I can do like exclusive content too, because it's like I got my subscribe button on X, I
Oh
think
yeah.
a few months
Mhm.
ago. So I want to just give some extra content for subscribers and things like that. But
Yeah.
it's just like with me posting on X all the time, it's and just trying to stay up to date with like Tesla news and all that stuff, and
Mhm.
then real life and things like that. It's
It
hard to
is hard.
just consume other people's content. Although I still do a little bit, but not as much as I used to. But yeah,
Mhm.
going back to your original question, there was a few YouTubers. Like I was gonna look up the other day what that guy, what his what his channel was, but I know he had a Tesla cat and he talked about Neo. Like he was actually one of the first people that got me into like seriously looking at Tesla. And then um who was that? There was a Tesla bull that's now a bear that I used to listen to a lot too. What is his name? I can
I don't know.
try looking him up. He used to make YouTube. He made a lot of YouTube videos, but he's like a bear now, and
Whoa, what
he's
shifted?
gonna
Do you know?
he you might have seen it. He lost a lot of money for his dad. He like sold a bunch of Tesla near the bottom.
Mhm.
And I think he literally
Nice.
lost millions, or and then I don't
Oh,
know if it was options too.
right.
This is actually gonna bug me. I mean, we can figure it out later. But I was watching
I
his
don't know if
stuff
it
when
is.
he was a bull, and so I mean, it was just a combination of a few different YouTubers, and then I mean, you got to remember, so like at the time I started investing, we had, well, like we just touched on earlier, we had all this COVID
Mhm.
craziness with the market just taking off. I remember, I think this was part of 2021 too. I remember everything, like people were like, there was like a meme, like nothing, the stock market would just not go down. Every day was a
Yeah.
green day. Things would go up, like Tesla would go up 10% for no reason.
It didn't even matter if it was a good company. There was a time
Yeah,
in the market where it
exactly.
literally didn't matter.
It
Yeah.
didn't matter. I remember that. It was like like nothing mattered.
Yeah.
The fundamentals, nothing, like everything just kept going up. So like, yeah, that was when Peloton, yeah, there was Zoom, I think you mentioned too.
Mhm.
I just remember those two as well. Uh, but yeah, it was just a few YouTubers, and then Tesla kept going up, and I was like,
Mhm.
so as it kept going up. I mean, I think in 2020, I don't remember what it started off, but I think it ended that year around $800 or $900 a share. This was obviously before the
Yeah.
split, but so I was like, okay, the stock keeps going up, the whole market's going up. I need to really start researching this company and kind of see what it's about. So that's kind of what initially got me in
Mhm.
the door. Yeah.
Now, I think I know. I think I'm going to know your answer to this question because I believe it would be the same answer to anyone that's got a highly concentrated portfolio, like myself, like you, like anyone else. Do you feel any level of risk being all in on one stock? Like, are you worried because all of your money that you're hoping will end up as financial freedom is dependent on Tesla, or actually is it the opposite, and you feel like it would be more risky to spread your money around?
That's a good question. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I feel like there's a little bit of, like, yes to each one of
Mhm.
those. I mean, it's a great
It
question.
definitely
I mean,
depends on the person for sure. Like, personally, for
yeah,
me, with my age and where I am in life and everything, I feel like it would be way riskier to spread my money to companies that I don't know an awful lot about. Like, I feel I sleep better at night actually knowing that my money is in a few companies that I've heavily researched and I stay on top of. But for some people, that freaks them out. Like, why would you do that? You need to diversify, you know?
yeah, like there's certain people that'll just be like index funds, ETFs, people
Yeah.
for forever. I mean, and I feel like the average, again, I'm not, giving financial advice here, but I feel like the average person probably should just stick with index funds and ETFs,
Mhm.
because if you want to have a portfolio with individual stocks, it does take time. It takes
Mhm.
research to if you're putting
And
your
interest.
hard-earned money and interest. Yeah, exactly.
Not
That's the other
everyone
thing.
cares enough, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to spend 20 hours, well, it'd be more than that, however
A
many
week.
hours a week searching Tesla
So
information. Like, you don't have to
it's
do that to be a good investor. Just buy an ETF.
yeah, now that you mentioned the 20 hours, I feel like it's
God
kind of
knows
a job.
how
I
much I
mean,
spent.
yeah, I mean, just ask my wife. No,
Oh, yeah.
uh, but yeah, she says, oh, this is actually good. I mean, she's like, you need to find friends to talk about Tesla, because it's like I'm on X, like I'm on X all day, like
Mhm.
um and it's like I'm pretty, I mean, I've built like I started, I think a year ago I had like under 1,000 followers.
Yeah,
Now I
you've
have
done really well.
like almost 14K. Yeah, thank you, I
Yeah, you've been
appreciate that.
really consistent, and yeah,
That's the thing, you have to be consistent, you have
that's where I'm
to
lacking.
um
Oops.
hold on, before I go off on this tangent, I want to make sure I answer this question. So yeah, I do, the volatility does not bother me. It
Mhm.
used to a little bit. Like there was a point, I don't remember when this was. I think there was, I mean, again, there was multiple. Tesla is crazy volatile, as you
Yeah.
know, but there was probably a point in 2022 where I was like, my portfolio, I think it went down like 80%,
Mhm.
which
That's pretty hard for someone that's not been investing for too long.
for a few years, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, do I sell some, or what do I do? And I
Mhm.
mean, I didn't sell anything. I've never sold Tesla. So I use the brokerage I use is, I don't know if you're familiar, it's M1 Finance.
Oh, yeah, I know of it. I don't use it though.
Yeah, so it's just like what got me interested in M1. Like I said, I used to have Robinhood too, but what got me interested in M1 is the pie graphs, the chart,
Yes.
like, and so I was like, oh, that's when I was breaking up my dividend stocks and my,
Yeah.
like, my, I had Amazon, and like, so, but then I just like went all in and saw Tesla. But no, I mean, the volatility doesn't really bother me anymore. It's like, because it's like
You're used to it now as well.
it,
You know the company behind that stock, so the stock moving, you're just like, "Oh, that's gonna do its thing," but the company's growing, and the stock will do its thing and catch up one
exactly.
day.
The market will eventually catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there, I mean, there's a lot of, does Peter Lynch say this, or is it Warren? It's like, know what you own and why you own it.
Yeah.
That's, I forget if Warren Buffett or Peter Lynch. I like both those. Those guys are
Yeah.
both
I wanna say
obviously
Peter
investing
Lynch, but I don't
legends.
know. Yeah, they're both
But
great.
yeah, so it's like a lot of people, they, they sell out of a stock, or they sell out of a, they, because they don't have conviction of the
Yeah.
company and they don't really know what they own. So it's like,
Mhm.
you have to build up conviction with a company, and you do that by research, and obviously you have to, that's interest, research, and time. But it's like, I remember a few years ago I was trying to tell some family and friends to, like, hey, you guys should get in on Tesla,
Yeah.
like, this is going to be life changing. It's going to be, it's a great company.
Mhm.
It's super, like, overlooked slash undervalued, whatever you want to like look at it. But they're like, oh no, it's it's at the, it's at the peak. Tesla's
Mhm.
gone up too much. I mean, like, going back from the beginning of when the company IPO'd, yeah, it's gone up. I don't know what, 200.
A
I
lot.
have no
Yeah.
idea, something like that. But but I'm like, no, it's just, the company is just beginning. I mean, it's like they've barely tapped the EV market, and then you look at the
Mhm.
business. But it's like, so long story short, I've learned that you can't just tell people to buy, friends and family to buy a stock, and then they're gonna eventually reach financial freedom,
Mhm.
and everything will be happily ever after. They have to build conviction, and they do that
Yeah.
by doing their own research. So I kind of learned that. So it's like, now it's like I don't even really bring it up to people anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'll maybe mention a few things, or if they talk to me about it. But it's like, um yeah, it's very interesting, because it's to me it's so obvious, but
Yeah. But
um
that's because you spend so much time learning about it.
that, yeah, that that's true.
I think for the I keep saying, like, if I and I've tested this on friends and family, if you just walk up to someone that, isn't in this community, and you just say, I don't know, "Tell me what you know about Tesla." And they don't, this is not wrong of them to say or anything, because why would they know so much like me and you do? But most likely they will be able to tell you that they sell EVs and Elon Musk is a CEO, and maybe some people will be able to mention something to do with superchargers. But other than that, most people, the average person, has no idea outside of that. And that to me is crazy because, like you said, it's shifting so fast. And I do wonder why, like you said, a sleeping giant, the energy segment, why so many people are still not looking at that. And my theory is just because it's a little bit more boring than maybe robotics, maybe FSD, maybe Tesla EVs are. Maybe that's why people aren't looking at it. I don't know. But that's going to grow substantially. We're already seeing that, let alone everything else. But before we get into all that, I wanted to just ask, you have a Tesla. Um,
Yes.
and you also told me before we started recording that you have a non-EV as well. So
Mhm.
two questions. My first question is, did you own your Tesla before or after you started investing into Tesla stock? And my second question is, without going too technical, because some people won't know the ins and outs of cars, what are the main like differences that you're seeing between those two cars that you own?
Okay, yeah. So
Like
the
why should people maybe think about EVs?
switching over, like
Yeah.
the things I love about the Tesla, the car.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so we actually, uh, me and my wife, we bought our first Tesla last October, actually. So
Okay. So you're
almost a year
already
ago.
invested.
Yeah, I was already invested. And it's funny because I didn't really know, like, it's one thing to talk about the company and the stock, and I mean, I obviously knew a lot about Tesla before that, but it's like that was the first time I've been in the Tesla before, but that was the first time
You've owned one.
I test drove it, and I
Uh-huh.
think we bought it. So that
Which
was
one do you have, sorry?
I have the long range Model 3.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a Model 3 long range. And I've been inside the refresh, the upgraded one, and
Mhm,
I've seen actually quite a few near me. So I'm in Minnesota,
mhm.
just below Canada, if you know where that is. But
Okay.
it we get very very cold winters here. But the area I live in, there's a lot of Teslas. A lot of people
Good to hear.
I've been seeing more by the day, and I've talked about that on X. And it's nice to like when I drive around, I see. We just had a service center built like
Mhm.
5 minutes away from where I'm at too, so that's cool. It's a pretty big one. It looks like, and I think that opened up. But yeah, so we got the Tesla about a year ago. So I guess, I mean, the main differences that I can see from like a Tesla or an EV. I mean, Tesla specifically versus
Yeah.
like a gas car would be. I mean, obviously it's electric, so no gas.
Yeah.
I mean, most people obviously know that. That's a huge plus right off the bat. And then,
But
uh,
money-wise, that's a massive thing, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Cost saving wise.
Cost savings? Yeah,
Mhm.
yep. So we just charge in our garage,
Yeah.
and we, with the slow charge, it barely use. It's probably $12 to charge the whole car,
Mhm.
um,
Pretty good.
which is compared to gas. I'm probably going to be spending 40 or 50 US
Mhm.
dollars to fill up a tank. So I mean, yeah, you can see the cost savings right there.
Yeah.
And then maybe some of the less obvious things people know is just, I mean, maintenance in general. No oil changes, spark
Yeah.
plugs. You really don't even have to do the brakes, which with the regenerative braking is wild.
Mhm.
Um, and then it's just, I think we do need to get tires go by a little bit quicker, I think. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, the things that I really like about the car, and like probably arguably the biggest selling point, I'd say two things. Well, safety.
Yeah.
They're the safest cars.
Mhm.
I mean, and that's which is huge. I think when most people look at buying a vehicle, safety is probably up there on their
Absolutely.
list, especially if
I
you have
should
a
hope so.
family and kids. Yeah, I would hope so too. So safety's that's big. Um, we feel safer being in the Tesla, and then
Mhm.
FSD. That's the
Yeah,
other, I'd say, is big thing, is like Teslas are, and I've said this many times too, are like the robots on wheels. I mean,
absolutely.
I've got that from Elon. Elon's the one that
But they
said it, but
literally are,
they
you know?
literally are. I've made a video of me summoning the car in the parking lot,
Yeah.
which it's not
I saw
perfect
that
yet.
video. Yes, I
Did you?
watched that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not perfect yet, but my wife had the idea of like, oh, you're gonna wait by the store, and then
Mhm.
I'll be in the car. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, because then they have like a first person view of
Yes. Mhm.
what's actually happening. So um, and they're working on the improved summon, which
Mhm.
uh hopefully that should be here soon. But like it's so I mean, you have all this technology in this vehicle, the robot on wheels, and it's um personally, I just love the minimalist.
Yeah.
You have one screen in the middle. You don't have all these buttons and knobs. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people like that too. But and then you just have it's just you have speed. I mean, the car is very
Mhm.
fast. Uh, and then the app. So like on my phone, I can use the Tesla app and I can control
Mm.
a lot of like if I want to warm up the car, cool it down.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, and then just having your phone also as the key.
Mhm.
You don't. I mean, physical keys are not needed anymore. So it's like again eliminating the part.
Mhm.
Um, software updates make the car getting better and things like that. So I mean, I can go on and on, but yeah, those I'd say are the main things. Is like what, and then once people drive a Tesla, I feel like that's they're most people are pretty much sold at that point
Yeah.
on the
So
car. So it's like
you would never not have a Tesla now?
no, no, yeah, yeah. Once I mean, once you kind of get a Tesla, there's
That's
it's
it.
very hard to go back. I have seen a few people on X um, say that like, oh yeah, I mean, they got I mean, I don't think they're going back to an ICE car. I think they might get a different like a Rivian is I do
Okay.
like Rivian,
Yeah.
or maybe a Lucid. Most people can't afford Lucids, but
Mm.
uh,
Yeah. Lucid
uh,
can't afford
that's
Lucid.
Lucid. Yeah, poor Lucid. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about Lucid, honestly, but
Uh-huh.
I with their CEO and Peter. I mean, yeah, yeah, that's kind of a different story. But
What does your
um,
wife think of the Tesla? Because
my
obviously
wife.
she's not like researching the company, sorry,
Mhm.
every day, but what does she think just as, a product? Forget everything else.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. So she actually she loves it.
Mhm.
And I think she's starting to kind of show it a little bit more too, because like she'll tell me um if she's like doing errands or out of town, she'll just send like the other day, she's a few hours up north at her parents' house for a week. It's kind of nice because their parents they live in a lake, so they got a boat and
Oh,
everything, and
lovely.
she's just taking a mini vacation up there.
Amazing.
Uh, but she sent me a picture of the Tesla the other day at the actually that was the one I posted a few days ago. It was she was at one of the new V4 superchargers,
Okay.
and I personally haven't even seen one in person yet. It's their newest supercharger. Um, but she just sent me a picture, and I was like, yeah, she's like,
She's
what? I
into
was
it.
like, what? I was like, why did you send me that picture? She's like, oh, the car just looks pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's a cool car. But no, I mean, she loves. I think she's told me she loves the main thing she likes is the speed, and then
Yeah. Mm.
how quiet the Tesla is, because
And what
like yeah,
about FSD? Like, is she comfortable with FSD?
that's a great question. Yeah, so
Is your wife?
she's got more of a love hate with FSD. So
Mhm.
it she's not as comfortable as I am with it. It it again, obviously 12.3.6 is what I'm on. That's what with most people, I think roughly 75% of people
Mhm.
are on that version. And it's good. It is it does, it's not perfect, and it does there are most of the time it's not even that I have to intervene, because I barely intervene with that, but there it's like it's more of, I think there's been a few people that have described it this way. It's like a um inexperienced driver, where
Okay.
they're more cautious. So
Mhm.
FSD 12.3.6 is very sometimes it's hesitant. Like I have a lane issue where sometimes it doesn't know which lane to go, and so it'll kind of, if I have to
Right.
make a left or a right turn, I think it's more so with the left, it'll be it'll kind of zigzag between the
Mhm.
lanes for a second before it makes that turn. Little minor things like that. Like I don't
They will
really
be ironed out.
Yeah, so I don't remember. I mean, most of the time, like I'd say at least 90+%, 99. I don't know. I most of the time I don't have to intervene with the car because it's doing what it should be doing. There's no
Mhm.
safety disengagements. I will say, uh, because they're going to merge the highway stack with the city code soon, and so the highway is technically not V12,
Mhm.
which some people probably don't know, but they're going to be merging those stacks. And so the highway, I do have an issue where um, every once in a while, it's pretty rare, but it'll phantom brake where it'll just kind of
Okay.
brake for no reason. Um, Luckily, every time it's done that, nobody's like behind me. It's just more so like I don't know why it does it, but I mean, so there are small issues. Um, but with what people said with 12.5 is it's more of an experience drive. I mean, I've watched a few videos, mainly
Mhm.
like Homar's blog,
Yes.
and then AI Drive. There's a
Yeah.
few other guys that I'll watch that have great FSD content,
Mhm.
and it's like the most people are saying that it's more of an experienced driver, and we're getting there.
Absolutely.
It's taking time. So yeah.
Just looking at the videos from the last however long, it's come a long way in quite a short space of time. It really has, and they're only pumping more resources into it. So I don't think it's going to be long until I say they've solved autonomy. You know that point where it's without doubt safer than any other option. And
Hmm.
the data's already coming out to say that having a Tesla using FSD is safer than having a Tesla with a human driver, but then even having a Tesla with a human driver is safer than a non-Tesla. So it's just one step up each time. And I think at that point, when they can undoubtedly prove that, will be the point where there isn't really that argument that regulation will stop robo taxis. When people can't say that it's unsafe. Um,
Yeah,
so
they'll have no choice to
yeah, there
kind of
won't be
open
a
the
reason. It
gates.
won't be because it's
Yeah.
unsafe. It will just be, well, you've got no reason to stop this, so why are you stopping it?
And
Um,
that's the thing is what because Tesla has all the data. And
mhm.
yeah, I forgot what yeah, like with what you just said with it being X amount safer, 15.5. I think there was a chart I
Probably
shared
the
it.
Ark Invest one, I imagine. That
Yeah,
was
it might have been the Ark Invest one. I think Tesla actually published one on
mhm,
their.
yeah.
I was looking at their quarter 2 update when they posted the financials, and then they had a chart. That was the other thing too. Is I wanted with it's a data game, but like they just passed. I think it's 1.6 billion FSD miles
Mhm.
now, whereas it was 1.3 a few months ago. So I
It's
mean,
really
they're
growing.
yeah they're making great progress, and it's like they have Ark Invest posted this before too, but they have all the data. So it's like
Mhm,
people look at like Waymo. Um, Personally, I haven't been. I was in California, and I think they're in Arizona. I was in Arizona earlier this year and California. Like they have the Waymo. So I think Waymos are in I don't know how many cities, but they're in very select cities, and they're
mhm.
geofenced, so they can only go um, in a select area, or else they just don't work. And I think they're expanding a little bit, but it's like in my eyes, it's not something that's I don't know how you scale that because they
The
lose.
price the price to
The
produce
price. Yeah,
a vehicle with all the
I
oh
think it's
god.
around 200,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's I don't know how you scale that. Um, I think there will be. I mean, it's a big market, so it's like Tesla. I mean, let's say they solve FSD, in the near future. I think most
Mhm,
people that understand what's going on here think of it as um, a when, not an if they solve FSD. It's just a matter of time. I think most people that are in this space can pretty much agree on that. So it's like, let's say Tesla solve. I mean, whether we start seeing Robotaxi in select cities at the end of this year or at the
mhm.
end of next year, um, I think there's still going to be room for like say Waymo. I don't think Waymo. I mean, if Google can, you know, somehow not lose an insane amount of money and like maybe scale this a little bit. I don't
Mhm.
see I see like 5-10 years from now, I see multiple players in this space. And then also Tesla probably um but highly probable that they license FSD to other
Mhm. I
companies,
think so.
which I think Elon just, I think, I forget where he said this, but he said it would take, or somebody said, I think it would take a few years before, like, because they would have to
Yeah.
retrofit the cameras and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
It's not an
um,
instant thing. They don't license it and
yeah,
then they go. They have to make their vehicle appropriate for the software.
exactly. So I still think I made a prediction that I think I believe probably Ford would be the first person
Mm.
that they're in talks with. But then I've seen stuff with maybe possibly BYD in China too. So it's like, I mean, we'll see. It's not really too relevant who's the first player. But I think eventually most companies will have Tesla FSD. But I
I think
do
they'll
believe
have to.
they'll have to, yeah. Because I
Mhm.
mean, the way things are going is it's and Elon's made this analogy is like if your car isn't autonomous and electric, it'll be like riding a horse.
Mm.
Which that's kind of like that's kind of stood out to me, and I believe that's true because like everything's going electric. I've even talked to people that are huge like ice. They're like I don't I wouldn't say they're maybe anti EV, but they're more of like they just don't like electric vehicles really.
Mhm.
And they're like, okay, yeah, it looks like I see that in probably 10 years. They're like, in 10 years, I'll probably drive an electric car.
Do you know what I
Like,
think will happen?
what
I
is that?
think we will see a reversal whereby going back a few years, ICE vehicles were what everyone had. They were, the cheaper option. Obviously, there's different models within that, but by and large, you got an ICE vehicle because it was convenient, it was in large supply, and it was cheaper than having an EV. EVs were reserved for people that either really believed in it or they could afford it or whatever. That's now shifting. Thank you to Tesla. So
Mhm.
you'll now have it will move towards most of the population being having an EV or using an EV, I should say, if they're going to use the Robotaxi rather than have their own. And then it will be that only a small percentage of people that can really afford it will have an ICE vehicle. And the ICE vehicle will be the sports car. Do you know what I mean? It will be the high end that not everyone can afford. So it will just completely reverse. That's what I think will happen, but I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it like that way. Yeah, no, I believe you're correct. Because I mean, yeah, it's gonna reverse where eventually most people will have an electric car
Hmm.
or they'll use the Robotaxi network. Like, I mean, say if you live in New York, I think most people in New York
Yeah.
don't have cars.
Hmm.
Uh, I do like I visited New York once a few years ago. I personally I could never live there.
I
Too
couldn't
many
either.
people, too many people. But yeah, most people we just used Uber and then we used the train
Yeah.
below or the subway. Uh, but yeah, I didn't really think about it like the fact that yeah, because I heard this or I was researching this the other day that yeah, it's gonna be a huge shift because when people with the ICE vehicle, it's gonna be when the demand goes way down,
Hmm.
it's gonna be hard to produce those cars because the
Yeah.
price to produce it's gonna go way up.
Yeah.
So like with what you just said, um, the people that have the money and they want that gas car, the
They want
sporty,
the
probably a
used
sporty
car.
car, they'll
Yeah.
have it and they can afford it. But
Mhm.
like your 20,000 Toyota Corolla or Camry that's gonna be now Tesla. Like those people that are
Mhm.
buying that cheap ICE car right now are gonna be buying
Yeah.
the Tesla in the future. So yeah, it's gonna we'll have that shift. Um, and yeah, I mean it's exciting. I like with and Tesla. Um, if you want to segment into like what I think about the Robotaxi day on
Yeah,
1010,
absolutely.
we can get into that.
Can I
I
ask you
think
first, before
yeah.
before you get
Go
into
ahead,
what
go
you think
ahead.
about that, were you surprised that it was delayed? Did that come as a shock to you or not really?
No, no, not really. I mean, yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, right? His timelines, nothing really. Honestly, it's very hard to surprise me with
in Tesla.
Tesla, like, or Elon in general. Yeah, so it's like, and it's like people. I think the market, the next, or somebody found out. Somebody, I don't know. Oh, there's my buddy Moo.
Oh,
Yeah, he's just probably gonna lay there. That's just one of his
yep.
favorite spots. But no, I think the market. Somebody either, I think it was from Bloomberg, or I can't remember. Somebody found out that we didn't know if this was
Mhm.
real, if this was a for sure
Yeah, it
thing,
was
and
like
I think,
hypothetical, wasn't it, for a
yeah,
while?
we found out the next day that, yeah, or I don't even know if it was the next day or a few days later, that, yeah, the
Mhm.
Robotaxi day was pushed back to 10/10. But no, I wasn't surprised, nor does it really, it doesn't
Yeah.
impact the company at all. But I mean, yeah, I think the stock tanked a few percent the next day or the next few days,
Yeah, it did. It did.
because people like to overreact
Freaking
in the
out,
stock
yeah.
market. But no, yeah. So I mean, I'm excited. I don't know exactly what they're going to be. I mean, I expect for sure them to showcase. So like they're going to have the Robotaxi platform, which I believe will be like, Elon talked about on, I think it was the last earnings call or the other one, the Cybercab.
Mhm.
So there's going to be a dedicated Robotaxi, and whether like people have made images of like the door like going
Yeah.
up, um, and there might be just two, it might be a two-person
Yes.
seater.
Mhm.
So I think they'll show something like that, and then I'm hoping for like, I mean, there's a lot of people that want like a Tesla van, people
Yeah,
with
what do you think about
bigger
that?
families. I'm hoping that they. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time until they reveal that, because like, so Tesla's obviously working on other products,
Mhm.
like, and this is something that's kind of funny to me, is like during every investor call, people are always asking about products, and his answer is always the same. It's like, we're not
It's not the
discussing.
time for it, yeah.
It's not the time for it. We're not discussing future products on this
Mhm.
time. There's like, they reveal that when they have their, the Robotaxi day, and like
Yeah.
certain days is when they do that. So I just think that's funny to me. But um, yeah, I think they'll showcase that, and then I mean, I hope they do maybe a van reveal, or
Mhm.
something along those lines, because I know there's people that have like bigger families, and they just
Yeah.
want some sort of van like that. Um, and then I hope, and I'm thinking that they'll showcase, because they have more affordable models that are coming. I think they said the first half of next year,
Yes.
so I hope they
Mhm.
touch on that, which will be huge. And then, yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, I think it's just going to be, it should be a great day. I mean, I, during Tesla events, the stock tends to just go down the next day, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be
Regardless.
different. Not that it really matters. I don't care about the short term movements. I like
Mhm.
to post about, um, so like I post on, like, I use Robinhood to look at it, and but I post frequently, like when the stock goes up like 5% or something, or like, it's just fun, and it's like,
Yeah, I agree.
it's so my whole thing is like, I don't care about the short term price movements. I just, as somebody who's a long term investor, like I said, I look at more of the fundamentals. um, and I do want to learn. That's something I do want to learn a bit about, is like more of the technical side, and
Mhm.
I do think there's some truth. I'm not completely sold on technicals.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of it does make sense, but like, I don't know. I just, looking at the charts all day, it's like, more me. I'm more of the fundamentals guy, but I do want to learn how to do, like, I would love to learn how to do. Not that would mess around with this too much, but like options, out
Yeah.
technicals, and all that stuff. So I mean, again, I've only been learning this stuff for like the last 4 years, so I'm still. I mean, besides Tesla, the last 2 years. I mean, or the last, well, all in 2 years, and then being
Mhm.
invested in it for 4 years. I'm still, and I'm just like a student of the game. I'm always learning, and there's
Yeah.
so much
That's
to
what
learn.
everyone should do.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind and always learn. There's some people I think
Hmm.
that get quite stuck in their ways as to what's right and what's not, but I never want to be that person. Like, I don't want to be the person that doesn't see certain things to do with Tesla because they might be a little bit bearish, you know? I want to
Yeah.
see the good and I want to see the bad, and I want to get the chance to weigh out myself and see what's actually going on and whether I think that that company is where I want my money. Talking about the Robotaxi fleet though, like, how long do you think, this is a very broad question actually, it's just one that's popped into my head. Like, how many years in the future do you think it's going to be until we see like a shift in most of the West in terms of a robotaxi fleet? Because it's going to pop up here and there, isn't it? It's going to be probably in restricted areas, maybe San Francisco, maybe this place, this place. But in terms of like a worldwide distribution of an accepted robotaxi fleet, you think the decade?
Like a global.
I'm
So you're
thinking,
saying more
yeah, I'm thinking
globally.
globally, but maybe globally in terms of more of the Western countries.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
myself. I'm thinking, I don't know myself.
it's very hard to say. I mean, so personally, I think we'll start seeing. I think we'll start seeing Robotaxi. I mean, again, this is just my optimistic nature
Yeah.
speaking here, but I think there's a lower probability that we'll see something by the end of this year.
Yeah. A
I
little
mean,
something.
yeah, maybe in, again, it would, like you just said, it would be in maybe one or two cities.
Hmm.
It's not gonna just it's not. I mean, I've made this post before where a flip of a switch and all these Teslas will come online. I mean, it is gonna be like that, but it's not gonna be like that.
Hmm.
It's gonna take time to get like jurisdiction approval of
Yeah.
having robo taxis operate in select cities. Um, but it's like what we said earlier. Tesla has all the data, and then there's going to be no doubt that regulators are going to be they're just going to
Yeah.
have to be like, okay, this is the data. You just can't say no. It's going to save lives.
I
It's
agree.
going to save so many lives, and it's just so. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's a slight chance that it happens maybe in one or two cities at the end of this year.
Hmm.
I think for sure we'll see it at some point next year. I don't,
Yeah.
and then at scale, because I know China, there's been rumors that China is, I know, they have to be testing FSD behind the scenes in China. We know that um, there's a few really good Tesla China accounts like Tesla Chan. I repost
Hmm.
some of his stuff. There's a few
Yeah.
good
It's
ones
great.
that, yeah. So I think they're testing that in China, and then Europe would be the other big market. Um, Speaking of which, is there a lot of Teslas in your area or
There's loads. Yeah. I play this little game with myself where every time I go out on a car journey that's longer than like 10 minutes, I'll count the
Mhm.
number of Teslas. And I've been doing that for a long time and they have dramatically increased.
Increase? Okay,
I see multiple every time I go out now. Yeah, so
that's
it is
awesome. Yeah.
really picking up. Obviously, FSD is not here like it is with you
Hmm.
guys yet, but it's probably a matter of time. We have very different roads compared to you guys as well, so it will have to obviously be trained on the correct roads to navigate that. But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting, and obviously, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a Cybertruck yet. Unfortunately, they're not over here either. But our time
Hmm.
will come. What do
You're
you think
yeah.
about the Cybertruck? Do you like it?
I love the Cybertruck. Yeah. So
Well, it's your
I bet.
T-shirt, is it?
No, yeah. So I've seen a few Cybertrucks in my area. It's cool because most of them I've seen are most people are wrapping them. They're putting there's
Yeah.
different colors, and that's really cool because I mean the original, like the stainless steel,
Mhm.
is fine, but I think it looks better if you wrap it. Like if you put like a matte black,
Mhm.
gloss black, or like a people have been putting crazy colors, crazy combinations. So I feel like, yeah, if you wrap it, that just makes it look a lot better in my opinion. But as far as I have not, I know Tesla's starting to offer test drives for the
Mhm. Yeah,
Cybertruck,
they are. Yeah.
and so hopefully I can go do that soon. I have not driven one yet. I have,
Please
so
film it.
I've seen a few, and it like, yeah, when you eventually see one, because you will, it looks, it almost, the first time I remember seeing it is like, it didn't look real. It looked like
Mm.
something from like a movie or something, like
Yeah.
CGI, like the light bar and like just the shape and like just seeing this vehicle next to another vehicle, it's like it just doesn't look real. But no, there's people starting to get their Cybertrucks around me, and not many. I've probably seen like maybe 10 or so, give or take. Uh, Even my wife, when she travels a lot for work. She's like an influencer for like I help her a lot with beauty and makeup and stuff like that. So she was in
She's doing
LA.
extremely well. She's
Yeah. Oh
doing very
yeah.
well.
Have
Good
you
for her.
seen her on? Yeah,
Yeah, I've
she's
seen some
big
of
on
her
like
stuff.
TikTok and
Yeah.
Instagram. She's trying to, and I'm trying to get her to post more on X and things like that. But it's hard to grow an X. I mean, it's we can touch on that a little bit. But no, she was in like Palm Springs. She was in LA. There's a lot in like California. Obviously, a lot of people have Cybertrucks, and same thing with like Texas, parts of Texas. But um, yeah, I love it. It's people that have driven it say it's the best vehicle they've ever driven. It just with
Mm,
the steer by wire and
yeah.
everything. It's just it's from what I've heard, it's just it's a whole different car to or a truck to drive. You know.
I think a lot of people, when they first announced it and then it first got released, were thinking, this is just, this is nonsense. This is hype. This is not, it's fun, it's exciting, but it's not going to stick around. And I think now what we're seeing is actually the utility of it and how much people are liking it completely different. Like the demand's actually there. And I think a lot of people that were very skeptical thought, no way. It's not useful. It's not going to actually serve a purpose. But hey, it's not just serving the purpose it's set out to serve. It's also wanted by the commercial side as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Like there
exciting.
was I didn't see somebody post. I think it might have been Sawyer. I saw that somebody posted the um a Cybertruck like doing actual like farm work, and
Yeah.
there's been a few people doing that. But yeah, I mean it's an actual truck that can actually do, you
Mhm.
know, traditional truck things. It's like, so yeah, like with what you just said, there's a lot of people I in the media, they were saying like the Cybertruck's going to be very niche
Yeah.
or niche. I don't know how people pronounce it
I say
differently, but
niche. I say niche,
yeah,
but
I say niche usually.
yeah.
But it's people. It's gonna. Yeah, they thought it would just be like a product that like only certain rich people will have, or like it's not going to be actually a work truck. And no, I mean like so I mean it's the best selling electric truck. It
Mm.
overtook Rivian and
Yeah.
the Lightning as of right now. So which and then I think it'll overtake. It'll be the best selling truck of any kind in the world.
I think so too.
I think that'll happen. It's going to take time
Like the
because
Model Y.
like the Model Y. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I think it'll be the best selling truck before the end of this decade. So it's gonna take some time because you know the Ford F-150 series is still selling what 600,000-700,000 a year.
Mhm.
Um, so the but you got to remember, so that number is going to slowly go down, especially as we ramp up EV production. And so that as that 700,000 number goes down, the Cybertruck's going to continue ramping up.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's a great vehicle. I think I mean, Elon said a few times it's one of the best, you know, either the best or one of the best products Tesla has made. And it's yeah, I would consider it like an engineering masterpiece.
Yeah, I think they went through a struggle to get there by the sounds of it. Production
Yes,
nightmare. But
production nightmare
that's,
for sure.
that's one thing that Tesla do so well that they're not given enough credit for, sorry. The ability of Tesla to effectively manufacture and scale. I can't think of a company that does it better, personally. They're always looking for ways to improve the line, always. And if you read Elon's, well, it's not his book. If you read the book on Elon, written by what's his name,
Walter Isaacson, right?
Isaacson. Yes, yes,
Isaacson.
yes. You can see all this come to life a little bit more.
Yeah. Hmm.
I realize we're at an hour, so I want to. There's a few more questions that I want to ask you, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit,
Oh,
just so we
time went
can.
by. Wow.
I know it really does. It really does, especially when there's two people that want to talk about Tesla all day. It just flies by.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If we can definitely, if you want to have me on a different time, we can obviously
I'd
talk
love
more
to. Yeah,
too.
we will.
But
Absolutely. Let me ask you these questions. We'll do it as more of maybe a quick fire, just so we can get
okay,
through them. I think they're interesting. I think your answer will be interesting. But yeah, let's set up another time that we can speak. So I wanted to ask you what you don't have to give one thing here, but what is maybe one thing or a couple of things that you are most excited about for the future of Tesla?
The most, okay, so yeah, I would say, oh, there's a lot. Probably
Yeah.
the top the top two or maybe three would be, I mean, FSD is just, especially FSD has kind of blown me away.
Mhm.
So I mean, I talk about it a lot. It's something I feel like is still tremendously. I mean, most people still doesn't even know it exists for the most
It's
part. Like
unseen. Yeah, absolutely.
it's behind the scenes still. Like I talk to people in real life. A quick story. I showed my brother-in-law his dad, he's got to be in his late 70s,
Mhm.
mid late 70s, and he was blown away. He was like, I think he drove like the Ford Lightning once, and he's like, well, this Tesla was much better. The FSD was great. He was just blown away by it, and so I think, yeah, FSD would definitely be up there. And then I'm just having cars, like in 5 years you can picture all these cars just driving themselves and you won't
Yeah.
need a
It's
driver
a
in the
weird
seat.
thought.
So, and then I would say the other thing would be, which we haven't really touched on, is Optimus, which is, in
Mhm.
my opinion, so I mean, if you look at Tesla, I break it down in four different business segments. You have obviously the automotive, the electric vehicles, you have the energy business,
Mhm.
you have FSD, and I categorize that with
Yeah.
Robotaxi, and then you have Optimus, and then like the AI part kind of plays a role in both Optimus and
Yeah.
FSD, obviously. So those are the four main segments, and then Optimus, as Elon has mentioned before, is going to kind of dwarf all those other business segments if things go
Yeah.
the way we all kind of hope and think they will. Tesla thinks they will. So I'd say, yeah, FSD and then Optimus gets me the most excited. I'm very excited just to see more EVs on the road too,
Yeah, of course.
in general. So
Yeah, I think my answer is the same. I think Optimus is a big part of the long-term value proposition for Tesla. And I think when we're thinking about being long-term investors, you have to play that into it. And it's not yet a possibility. Sorry, it's not yet here. We don't have them in the
mhm.
homes. We don't have them in just every factory, but we are seeing the steps being taken to get there. But yeah, we should speak more about Optimus on a different day because there's a lot to dive in there. The numbers get absolutely wild.
For sure.
Crazy, crazy. So let's do this as well. Let's think about in terms of your investing. What's your plans with your portfolio in Tesla for the future? Are you planning to hold for decades? Are you planning to maybe create some generational wealth? Like, what's the long term plan here?
Yeah. So I'm planning on holding Tesla for. I'd like to imagine for a very. Well, I
Hmm.
mean, I've kind of said like 20 plus years. I mean, that would put me over 50. Um, and then I mean, part of me doesn't want to ever sell all of it. Um, Maybe, say it 20, 25 years down the road. Because I imagine the company at some point, I believe it'll probably be in the early 2030s, will eventually pay a dividend.
At
I
some
don't,
point, yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think
don't
so,
want them to
but
pay a
not yet.
dividend anytime soon, but
Yeah.
I think eventually they probably will. Again, we're looking long term here,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I mean, as of like right now, the plan is just to um, keep buying and holding Tesla, um, and then as far as selling it, I probably would, maybe eventually I might just sell very small amounts if I
Yeah.
need to, but that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Mhm.
I as of right now, there's no. I mean, I possibly would want to buy, like, if Starlink or
Yeah,
SpaceX
me
ever
too.
IPOs, like it goes public. I think I would probably buy some of that. I'm just pretty much. I don't. Elon's companies are they're magical. He does. I mean, again, I'm obviously I'm super biased here. I love Elon. I love his companies, but like they're literally changing the world. I mean, you look at SpaceX. Neuralink,
Mhm.
the Boring Company just posted this huge machine the other day, which there's not too many Boring Company updates, but like if you look at his companies, they're literally changing the world, and it's like, um, especially SpaceX. I don't talk too much about SpaceX. I follow their work in the background, but it's like, I mean, they're launching rockets, Falcon 9. They're launching these rockets weekly,
Mhm.
and it's like they're doing great work. So I would maybe look into buying like Starlink or SpaceX if they ever go public. But as of, yeah, just Tesla.
Mhm. Yeah, and all the companies feed into each other. That's what I like so much, and I think the Elon ecosystem, I should say. I think someone's got a word for that. Is it the
Musk
muskonomy? I want to say
Muscon. Yeah, I've heard of
something.
that too.
Yeah, they all feed
That
into each other.
that's my yeah, his company logos are my banner for the for
Yeah,
X. So it's like I've had a lot of people. I don't know who I forgot I made that, or I didn't make it specifically, but I found it a while ago, and I get all the time, people are like, I'm stealing your banner photo. I'm like, go ahead.
I
I
like your
I
banner.
don't know where I got it from, but go, you can use it.
So
But
how often do you buy Tesla? Do you buy it like every week, or are you sort of more? I'll buy it when I have
yeah.
some spare money.
Yeah, I haven't been buying lately, just because me and my wife are trying to save for a
Yeah,
house, and like, so it's been a while, but definitely, I mean, in the future, I will. Yeah, I just in the past, in the future, I just buy and hold. So I just, whenever I can accumulate more shares,
yeah,
I
you
will
just
I will buy. I'm not worried about the price, like, and we can get into this in a different time too, for
Mhm.
sure. Like with Arc, I do like Arc's analysis and their model. Um, but I mean, I think a few months ago they came out with their, I think, because they look in 5 year
Yeah.
time horizon. So I think they came out with the 2029,
Mhm.
and the bull case, or what was the base case was like 2600. Hold on, 2600 was the base case in 2029, and they're big on, obviously, this, a lot of that has to do with Robotaxi and
Yeah.
FSD.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I mean, to me, buying now or buying in the next year or two, it's not going to matter in, again, 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking super long term, and a lot of people, and that's another thing, like with, I talk about this with like Wall Street looks in quarters, where
Yeah,
in
they have to. It's
test
the way it's set
they
up.
have to. Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. But like, um yeah, I just look in, you know at least 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah,
I
me
look in
too.
more decades, so I'm not worried about if it goes to 300 tomorrow, or if it even goes to 100. It just, it in the long term, it just, in my opinion, doesn't matter.
Mhm. Yeah, I do agree. I do agree there. Yeah, whether you're buying at 196 today or 197 tomorrow, like if you are
Mhm.
planning to hold for even 3+ years, it's not really going to matter. That's my opinion. So let's round this conversation. It's been very interesting. We'll definitely do another one. But let's round this off by talking about X. And I will leave your X account, obviously, for everyone listening and watching. Go and follow. It will be in the description below. Absolutely recommend that. But like, what's been your experience on X? Because you're growing quickly. Like, are there any things that you're doing in particular that you can share with the audience and with me that you are seeing a lot of benefit from? Um, you're enjoying it, like all of that stuff?
Yeah. So X, this whole journey was kind of unexpected, to be honest with
That's
you.
always the best.
Yeah, like so I started getting into. I've been on Twitter. Well, it was Twitter, obviously, a few
Yeah.
years ago. Um, I think I started posting consistently, at least, or just being on the app consistently, probably
Mhm.
I'm trying to think, 2.5 years ago,
Yeah.
early, probably 2022 ish. And then, so I saw, like, oh, there's this Tesla community on X, and then I started. I mean, at that point, I was either close to all in, or I was all in on Tesla, and then I
Mm.
started just posting some Tesla content, and just following other Tesla creators, or just people that post on the X platform. And so that's kind of how it all started. And then it's like, about a year ago, um, I found out that, okay, like, my account is picking up a little bit of traction. I just, I had a few posts go viral.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, a few 100,000 impressions like a year ago. And then that would happen, actually, it started happening like once a week, once every other
Wow,
week. I
that's
would have
cool.
a post that would get like two, three, 400,000 views. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that's crazy, because that never happened to me before.
Yeah.
So I just kept, that kind of motivated me. I just kept posting and doing more research and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, and then fast forward to, I think I got a few like Elon likes or
Yes.
replies.
Yeah, I
And
did see
then,
them at the time.
yeah, and like actually my pinned, he reposted me twice, like quote posted me,
Amazing.
which is my pinned post, which that ended up getting like, I mean, Elon posted 36 million views. So that's like my most viral post
Yeah.
ever. And I think during that time, that gave me like 2,000 followers in like a
Mhm.
day. I want to say something crazy.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I just, that kind of, it all kind of spiraled together. And it's it's my passion. I like to talk about Tesla, and then I like to talk about just Elon's companies in general. But I'd say the biggest, I get asked this all the time. Um, people DM me, or just ask me in the comments, like, what's the best way to grow?
Mhm.
And
It's what
I
everyone
probably should,
wants to know, I suppose.
yeah, I should probably make a post of, I mean, I've made a few posts about this, but I'd say the biggest thing, and this is just how I think the nature of the platform is just, you have to put a lot of time in, and you have to reply to people. I mean,
Yeah.
you've probably heard of the reply guy strategy, is just replying to a bunch of people, posts that aren't even yours, and just replying. And so yeah, I think that honestly is the best way to gain traction. But it's not just about replying, because you have to start making your own creative content.
Mhm.
You have to, so in the behind the scenes, you're replying. I remember there was nights where I would be staying up to like 3, 4, maybe even 5. I would stay up most of the night just replying to people, thinking of new ideas to post.
Mhm.
And it's just, you got to put in the work. You
Mhm.
have to be, but consistency, which we talked
Yeah.
about at the beginning, is very important too. And it's like, not everyone wants to have a following, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Not,
it's not for everyone. It
some
takes a
people,
lot of work.
it does. And some people just want like the news, or they just want to browse X. So like, yeah, that's fine. But if you actually really do want to grow, then yeah, you do have to put in the time. You have to reply, and then
Mhm.
you have to be creating your own content. But in general, I love X, to kind of wrap things up here. Uh, it's been a great I mean, ever since Elon, you know, purchased Twitter, and then started, he rebranded to X. It's, I love the whole free speech thing. I love the
Yeah.
whole, the community. I mean, there's multiple communities. You have the Tesla community. I'm sure there's just a investing community.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Palantir
Oh,
community
there
and
is.
things like
Yeah.
that. So it's just, you have these multiple communities, of anything. I mean, whether you're in the sports, I mean, lately there's a lot of politics, which, we don't really need
Yeah.
to get into, obviously. But there, I mean, you have anything that you're interested in, you can find it on X. Plus, the news. It's unmatched in, um,
It's my
getting the
go-to place.
breaking news. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, I'm
100%.
very happy with the platform, and I'm excited to see there's, where it goes in the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah, well, I think you're gonna continue to blow up. I think you're gonna get a lot of followers. And one thing that I really like about you, and I think you'll absolutely stick to this, is you've always been very transparent and you've always been very kind. Like that comes across. You will post things that, are just you, rather than always posting things that maybe are for other people. Like you share your cats, for example, you share about your wife and your
Mhm.
marriage and stuff. And I like having that side of you as well. I think that goes a long way with people that follow you. But yeah, I think big things are coming for you on X. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Like I said, anyone listening and watching should absolutely follow.
Thank
Um,
you, Haley. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
no, I'm being honest. I'm not just saying it. Like we said, we've been following each other since
Hmm.
what, like 1,000 followers. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
if
And
you ever want to
likewise.
start posting videos, I think you should. I think you'll do really well at that as well. And I'll be the first to repost and be there backing you all the way. You have a lot of value to give.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. I like what you're doing with you. You're mainly on YouTube and X, right? Is there
Yeah, YouTube more so. I'm a bit inconsistent with X. It's I'm always on it. I'm always on it reading, but I'm not always on it posting, which is,
okay.
I need to I haven't made it a priority in terms of content creation, but I want to. So I
Hmm.
don't know, like you were saying earlier, about the reply stuff, and those are things I'm only learning now, having spoken to people on the podcast about X. I didn't know any of that. I don't know how to use X to its fullest in terms of as a creator. So I mean, I've got a long way to go there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can, yeah, feel free to message me anytime about growing on X or just in general. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
we'll set something else up for another talk too. Um, but yeah, it's a great platform. He's done some great work with it, and uh, it's been very uh, very nice to talk to you and just share
Absolutely.
some insights. I mean, the time kind of flew by.
It really does. I know I need to make these longer, really, but yeah, we'll leave it there for today. It's been a fantastic conversation. It's great to finally meet you, even virtually. And yeah, we'll set another one up. We'll speak next time about Optimus and everything else that we've had to, miss out today. But it'll make for a good second conversation. So thank you for joining me again. I appreciate your time. And yeah, anyone listening, I'll leave. Do you want me to leave your YouTube handle, or is that something that you're just not?
No, you can just post my X is
Just your
fine. If,
ex, okay.
yeah, just my X.
That will be in
Hmm.
the description. But thank
Okay.
you again for joining me, and thank you everyone for listening.